Now they will know why they are afraid of the dark. Now they will learn why they fear the night.
In an age of blockbusters, audiences were gripped by fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of the obscure. Until one man showed them there was nothing to fear. Cinephobia.
Nick Parker is quick as a snake, strong as a bull, not to mention blind as a bat.
I'm your host, JP. Today's guests are Brian Gobuty,
Hey, how's it going?
audio technician and owner of Brian Gobuty Production Sound. Our next guest is Vicky Solorio, average achiever and podcast enthusiast. Thanks for being on the show today, Vicky.
Hey.
And our final guest, but not least, is Amanda Santana, editor and makeup artist.
What's up? I want to fucking die.
She wants to fucking die, y'all. Fulfill her wishes. Make a wish.
Should we
All
get
right.
Jason Voorhees down here?
So we're talking not about Jason or Camp Crystal Lake tonight. We're talking about Blind Fury.
Blind Fury.
That's right. Get your shades and your samurai swords. We're getting back to our B-movie roots in today's episode of The Cast as we dive deep into the 1989 American samurai action comedy starring the late, great Dutch actor Rutger Hauer.
Rutger Hauer.
Now, we're actually watching this movie on August 17th, 2019, which just so happens to be the 30th anniversary to the date that this movie was released.
That's pretty cool.
And it was released in West Germany on this date at first, and it wasn't released in the U.S. until March 1990, because we're always a little bit behind Europe, you know. We want to get everybody's thoughts on this thing. It's a lot to talk about. It's a beautiful, wonderful film. Let's start off with Vicky. You are a very average achiever. Some would call this an average movie. I don't think it is. What are your thoughts?
I really enjoyed the movie. Like, it was... I've never seen any of his films. Any of... I can't remember the actor.
Rutger Hauer.
Rutger
I've never
Hauer.
seen any of his movies.
Yeah, just Blade Runner.
Oh, well, besides,
Yeah.
okay. Besides Blade Runner. Okay.
It's like a lot of people. A lot of people
Yeah.
haven't seen much of his movies besides Blade Runner.
Yeah, so besides
Right.
Blade Runner... Yeah, okay.
Rutger Hauer.
Have-
The Hitcher? Have you seen The Hitcher? That's another one of his most known movies. It's a horror movie. He plays
Okay,
a hitcher.
besides Blade Runner, that's
Okay.
the only one I've seen. It took me a bit to remember that he was in Blade Runner because he was also like one of the villains. So it took me
Right.
a bit.
Rutger Hauer.
No, overall, I liked the movie. It was definitely entertaining. Would watch again.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would watch
got
I
it.
could
rewatch
agree with
value.
that. Yeah, I'd watch it again.
No,
I
I
agree.
actually really enjoyed because I enjoyed the comedic factor to it. It like was just so. I can't remember the two actors' name, or not two actors, but two characters. The kind of the weird looking sheriff, like our deputy cowboy, and the other guy that kind of reminded me of Jason Sudeikis, but like a chubbier version of Jason Sudeikis. Oh my god. Like, they were just great. I just liked how when they were in the elevator, they said like shit fuck. Like shit fuck. Like, it definitely, like, it's still funny to this day, which I like. I like that there's still some like movies that still, even though like they're dated, they still hit now, like,
Yeah.
comedically. Like, there were some
Okay.
parts, I definitely enjoyed that. Like, it was it the greatest movie I've ever seen? Like, no, but I enjoyed it for the ride. I was in it. I was involved. It was good. Like,
You were riding that bitch.
There's definitely been a lot worse movies that we've seen here.
I think
over
in that
time.
comparison too.
Yeah.
I think it's also like that too. I mean, I enjoyed Reaper. Well, that's another thing, but I enjoyed Reaper Man when we watched it last time, like a
Yes.
couple months ago.
Oh, okay.
I did not.
I enjoyed it. Like, it was just it's a thing where like
I left early.
Oh no.
but I don't know, I enjoy just seeing movies where that I don't know, I just enjoy movies. And I, like, again, it might be not the greatest movie, but as long as there's just like something to it and at least a couple parts I enjoy, then like I'm in it. Again, I don't know how I'd rank it, but
Yeah,
it, was,
it had its charm,
Yeah.
especially with
Yeah.
the '80s aspect of it as well.
yeah,
Right,
I
right.
definitely 80s. Definitely just liked just all the stunts. Like I just like that you see the body double. Like when they switch to like it's just like because it cuts. Like
Yeah.
it cuts and it's like body double, and then it goes to like with the actor, like the beefy. I can't remember the actor, that character's name, but the big beefy guy that had the cigar.
Yeah.
Like it was
Yes,
very like
Stag.
the
Stag.
Slag.
Yeah.
Or Slag?
Okay,
Slag?
the actor's name, like his nickname is Tex. That's all I remember.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
He does
Randall-
look like a Tex. He
Randall
looks like a
Tex
Tex.
Cobb. Yeah.
Yeah, the actual actors. I don't remember his character's name, but it was probably some greasy '80s stereotypical slugger name. But like, I just like there's like that shot where like he's jumping out the window and he's a big guy like the actor, and then he jumps through and it's someone slightly smaller and better physique going through, and you can tell because it just cuts because like it just cuts. So I just like that thing, and I think that's just why I like those 80s movies. And I'm glad you show them to us because I don't see them because I'm like, I don't know what to watch. So it's something that like I'm glad I see at least once in my life so I can just see how it affects other movies too, because chances are like all these movies have affected us and affect future filmmakers in some way. So it's just like
Absolutely.
a nice thing to just like see, because definitely like with the shot, someone made it. I don't know if it was Jesus or Brian. It was like Phantom Menace when
Phantom
he gets
Menace,
cut
yeah.
in half.
Yes.
He gets cut in half.
got
Yeah,
cut in
the
half.
It
climax
falls
of the
down
film.
that pit. I was like, oh yeah, I can kind of see it. So who knows? Maybe George Lucas was like,
I'm
you know what?
pretty sure he
I'm
saw
gonna
it,
put
yeah.
this movie in Phantom Menace.
At the
I'm
very
like,
end of the
this is-
movie, they kill the villain and
Well-
they slice him in half.
Yeah.
And his body falls in half as he falls down. Long
Yeah.
Slick
to the ground to his
crevasse. That
And
he
this was a
falls in.
PG-13
Oh,
movie
right.
also,
Darth
right? I
Maul.
mean, they didn't really... Was it PG-13? Because I felt like, I mean, every time someone got cut, I mean, they didn't try to show too much
They didn't
blood
show
or anything.
like deep
Yeah, they didn't
cuts.
show
Wait.
I will give
Yeah.
you that.
Did they have the money for it though? You know what I mean too. It's like did they have the money? Because
I
like
don't know.
it's the other thing too. Because they showed like that blood. It still takes a lot.
Oh
Like
my
Okay,
God,
yeah,
the blood
that's
packets,
true.
you could straight up see
Like-
that.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I think they did their best to like try. Like I think there's that one shot where he's like he slices the guy's neck and it's like up down, like up and down, like in a certain
Oh,
motion.
yeah.
Like podcasters can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just like people who are listening to this just can't like see it. I can't see it, but
She's slicing at her neck.
Slicing
She's
at the
giving the
neck.
slicing motion.
Yeah.
and the guy grabbed it. And I'm pretty sure it's like this is like they probably want to put blood here, but maybe it just didn't work out for them.
The movie was actually rated R, so I don't know why they didn't have
Really?
more blood in it.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
it's
I
an
mean, he
80s
could have gone
movie.
all
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I feel
Well, I
like
mean, there
they
is
were
one scene-
hesitant on the blood. Maybe they had a little bit of a less like budget for the blood on that one.
Could have
So
been
Yeah.
they
that.
were like-
Could have been that. Could be that they were hoping for more of a PG-13 rating, then they
Well,
just
yeah.
couldn't get it.
Maybe
Well, I
they
mean,
Because
there's
they
a
had a
scene
kid in
where
it.
one hand gets chopped off, so yeah, that kind of makes sense.
I was
but,
hoping for more hands chopped
Yeah,
off.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was hoping
Yeah.
for too.
Yeah.
I agree.
Just tons of hands, just hands.
I mean, you got a
flying
samurai sword. Just go full on Kill Bill and just just give us good
Exactly.
bloods and stuff. Yeah.
Hot take though, I'm pretty sure what they did was they ended up just using all the budget on all the guns.
everywhere.
Just a concept.
Very
Probably,
a lot
yeah.
of guns in
Yeah.
it.
Guns-
There was a lot of guns.
Guns or
Think of-
stunts? Because I feel like even though like it was, I think still pretty decently choreographed. Like they had to think about a lot of
Yes.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
they did.
So
The
probably
fighting.
the choreographer they got, like they probably spent a shit ton of money on that person.
Yeah.
Like, so I can see maybe the money didn't go to the blood. But would I like to see blood? Yeah, I would have.
I would
Would've-
think that
Blood
like
is pretty
gun
cheap,
wranglers and prop wranglers like that, yeah, they don't come pretty cheap anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know that this was a remake of, I can't pronounce this, Satachi. Sorry, I'm going to butcher this. Satachi Challenge? I mean, that was a...
Close enough.
Yeah. It's a 1967 Japanese
None
film.
of us can say that that's close enough.
It's loosely based modern remake of that movie
Yeah.
that came out in 1967.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it...
Apparently about a blind samurai as well.
Oh, nice.
Or
Yeah.
Something like that, I think.
So yeah, it would make sense. I mean, because honestly, that is so. I think how George Lucas was influenced by samurai movies. Obviously, I think he was. This movie was influenced by samurai films, and obviously Lucas was influenced by that one scene where that guy gets chopped in half. So I'm thinking
Right.
like influence of an influence. in a way.
Lucas owes Blind Fury money. For
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Amanda, what are your overall thoughts of the film?
Oh man, I didn't think
I'm
this
putting you.
far.
I'm putting you on the spot.
I know, I hate
Just
that.
throw it at me. Just
Yikes.
regurgitate it.
I was not a fan of
No?
the film. I
Wow.
did think it was funny,
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
but
Okay.
like.
It doesn't take itself seriously. It's not.
No, it
really,
doesn't,
yeah.
and that's great. But
Yeah.
it's just like I'm such a basic bitch with movies that to me it's like whatever,
okay.
you know, like
It
yeah.
is the epitome of cheesy 80s action
Oh
movies.
yeah,
in a
no,
way.
I will definitely recommend it like
Yeah.
to my boyfriend or something.
It
Go for it.
definitely is,
Yeah, he'll probably love it.
Yeah.
But I was just kind of like,
It felt like something that you and your friends at film school would get together to make in a way, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, you look at it and it's like you break it down and you kind of see there are good elements that they're pulling into the story right off the bat. You get this blind guy who's just like from the Vietnam War, who's just like lost. Right away, you can kind of relate to that character where you're like, wow, this guy's lost. Like, I wonder if he'll ever find himself. But he never does because he's so
Yeah.
blind to what is really in front of him the whole movie. Is like, wow, I could have like a family too. I can have that kind of affection from other people, but he doesn't
can't.
see it.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Wow.
I think
Going
it's
deep with us on this one.
yeah, it's a throwback to those old movies like Mad Max or Man with No Name, where like the random hero just wanders
Yeah.
trying to find himself,
The
and
wandering hero.
the wandering hero just finds himself in the situation where like he finds these people he has to help, and when he helps them with their the problem, everything's resolved at the end. Just goes about his way, just goes on and
Life
explores
goes
and finds
on,
other
yeah.
adventures.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And believe it or not, there was a sequel planned for this film.
I
Wow.
heard
I
about
saw.
that.
Yeah,
Yes,
That
I
is
heard about
amazing.
this.
But after it didn't do very well, it was
Ah.
scrapped. So
Oh.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
there was no Blind Fury
No.
2. There was no Return.
I'm
what do you
so
expect?
sad.
I know.
I will be honest though, when he was driving the fucking car, mind you, it's a blind man driving this car.
What's your problem? You blind? Yeah. Holy.
Oh my god, that was amazing.
You like that scene?
That was
That
good.
was the fucking best scene. Are you kidding me?
yeah. Like the kid
That
has
and
to
the
really
fucking
tell
Phantom
him
Menace.
turn right, turn left, turn
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah.
Literally having a kid fucking guide you like, hell yeah, this is gonna be a disaster. I'm in for it.
Yeah. The movie does owe a lot to Mr. Magoo in that regard.
I'll give him that. Yeah, it definitely handles the Mr. Magoo mythology very well.
The Mr. Magoo mythology. So this film was directed by Philip Noyce. I hope I'm pronouncing his
That's
name
Noyce?
correct.
Nice.
He really took a splash on the game with Dead Calm, which came out with Nicole
Right.
Kidman, and then he directed most famously Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger, the two Tom Clancy-based movies
Yes,
with Jack Ryan,
Jack Ryan.
starring Harrison Ford.
Speaking of Jack Ryan.
And he also directed The Bone Collector and Salt later on with Angelina Jolie. You guys remember that one?
Dude.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh my
He
God,
also
yes.
directed The Saint. You ever see
The
that with
Saint
Val
with,
Kilmer
Val
and
Kilmer, yeah, he did.
Elizabeth Shue?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
He
too.
was hot in the 90s as a director.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
I thought you were
big.
complimenting him on like his body, and I was like, yeah, I don't know.
I'll Google a picture right now. We'll see.
Philip Noyce.
Was
so
he
nice.
hot?
Yeah.
Find out on our next podcast.
Do some research on that one. Brian?
I definitely enjoyed this.
You did, okay.
I found it very, very intriguing. The whole film from the beginning to the end. It's the comedy adds to it, but the film itself was just like I like how it pulls from like those old samurai films.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this before. The idea about the Ronin type of character the wandering character. I've always found that fascinating in a main character. You know, someone who can just drift along. And just as we were talking about previous films, I was thinking of other films that, like, for example, The Wild Bunch comes to mind, the Sam Peckinpah film. You know, just a group of guys who randomly run into this town that happens to have a problem, and they're the heroes that step up. Yeah. Same thing here. We have a hero that steps up finally. He comes in and he knows something's not right with his friend. So he goes out of his way to really prove to them, like, hey, I'm here for you. I'm this guy who's I have nothing for me, but I want to help my friend. I want to help my friend's family.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really grabbed me into the story and brought me into the film was that just that element of like, he's willing to do this for other people that he really doesn't even know. It's kind of a good little wholesome story in that sense.
He is. He's a really good guy, and he cares
Yeah.
about people, and, you know, is coming from a good spot. He's a good hero type. Jesus, overall thoughts of the film?
Oh, I mean, I think it's definitely not a well-made film, that's for sure. But I mean,
What
it
do you
is.
think it's not a well-made film? It was a very
Well-
well-made film.
I mean, I see this as it's really a guilty pleasure. It really is.
True.
I think that the kid that they chose to act in this film is not the greatest actor.
Brandon Cole, I think
Oh
is
my
his name?
god, he was the worst.
Yeah. It's just that, I mean, usually, I don't know. I mean, maybe it was in the 80s and the 90s when kid actors just weren't at their game like they are nowadays. But I mean, there's something about the kid that, I mean, I didn't latch on or like believe the relationship he had with the main character in a way. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's
there was
just,
no real connection.
There was
I
no
can
real
agree.
connection. Yeah,
I can agree.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy the film. I mean, like I said, it definitely is the epitome of cheesiness and a guilty pleasure. Like, I mean, it's definitely something that I want to watch again. Yeah. It's the perfect-
Interscope Productions, we're looking at you on this casting choice.
Yeah.
To add on like, Jesus's like comment about the kid, that's what like I noticed in the movie, like when the kid would be crying and like grabbing onto him, like I don't want you to go.
Yeah.
And it's like I wanted to like, and watching it's like I want to feel like
It would have been so
more.
effective. Yeah. If
Like,
the
I
kid
want to
had
feel
been
more
a really,
in it.
if
I
he
feel like
believed in the relationship, it would have worked out. Yeah.
yeah, like I wanted to
Feels
feel
the
more.
heartbreak in
I
it.
understood where they're coming, but I like, and I saw it was like, oh,
Right.
that sucks, but I wanted to like feel it more.
Yeah.
I feel like that kid just had like that
Yeah.
pouty face of just don't go, like just don't.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like it could have been better. But again, 80s actors for like kids, like
Yeah,
they
for some
weren't.
reason.
Not all of them were up to game, so maybe that. But maybe they could have cast like another kid who could just had a better expression, or I don't know something.
Yeah.
Maybe like Edward Furlong, you know, like
That-
Terminator.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
like,
Terminator 2.
Yeah.
They were
That's
probably
kind
already
of that
booked. They had all the good
relationship.
kid actors booked. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we got this kid left. Take it or leave it. All right.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole, the center of the film is basically a relationship with the kid and the blind guy. I mean, it's supposed to
Right.
be like this thing that's driving the whole entire film. But I mean, it just didn't. Just wasn't believable. I mean, it doesn't take away from the fact that I found it really to be entertaining. I mean, it's definitely a film that I see myself, smoking and joining and just enjoying the shit out of because the stunts are great and just, I mean, it's just overall, I mean, just the vibe of it. I mean, I just really enjoyed it for that.
It was a great vibe. It was very
Right.
short. It was only 86 minutes long.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Very short film, very
goes by
fast.
pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, you wanted to show it to your friends. I mean, you go quickly like, oh, I got this really great film. It's so bad, but it's so good at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that bad. Like,
No, it had production value
it
to it.
bad. Like,
Just
It
the
did,
acting. I
it
mean, the only thing I'm
did.
going to
Okay.
criticize about is the acting.
Yeah,
That's
the
it.
yeah, and I can mostly blame the kid.
Yeah.
I will say one thing though that I did like. I did like the swooping and swishing of the actual sword. Like it definitely was. It sounded like a handle from like a broom being like, in front of a microphone the whole time. So it's like that was kind of cool. That was obviously a nice little throw to like post production there. So
Yeah, and the blind guy had a really great look to him too. He had the hat, he had the multicolored glasses, and then he was always carrying around
Right.
the stick, which he pulled out to be a sword at the right times. It was just really great look to him.
It was. The one other thing I wanted to mention was it seemed to have a lot of those like Western tropes, like
Yeah.
like a Western film in a way.
Clint
And this,
Eastwood.
yeah, the
Man with
Clint
no name.
Eastwood. But
Man
I
with no
think
name.
it's the end of it where he throws the dinosaur over the bridge. The little boy Billy throws the dinosaur over the bridge and he catches it and he hangs on to it because that's
Yeah.
the one piece he's like, I'll remember you, Billy. I'll hold on to that. It's kind of like that, like ending to that movie Shane, where he's like, "Come back, Shane,
Yes.
come back."
Yeah.
Billy's just like, "Where'd you go, Nick? Where'd you go?"
You ever cry?
The strong man is never afraid to cry.
Just a loosely based remake.
And then he cuts to that one scene where the actor has that one tear on his eye. Just like, I feel like someone just came on before they did the shot. Just
Yeah.
kind of like put a little tear on his
Oh,
cheek.
yeah.
Rutger
But it
Hauer.
Little
worked,
clear
though.
eyes.
It worked.
Little clear eyes drop.
He said
Yeah.
he couldn't cry.
Yeah, he said couldn't
so
cry.
It worked. Yeah, was
Right.
it misplaced?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it worked.
Yeah. For the genre
Yeah.
and the theme of it all, it
Rounded
really
out.
worked.
Nice.
I can only imagine what the sequel was planning for that moment.
He had another Vietnam War buddy who got in trouble with somebody or
Yeah.
something like that.
So pretty much like
It would've been like the blind
Iron
Rambo
Eagle
in a way.
series.
Like Rambo or like
blind Rambo.
Death Wish almost. in a
Or
way.
Iron Eagle. Iron Eagle is
he just
my,
runs
my
across.
choice for that one. Iron Eagle for sure.
Iron Eagle. There you go.
Yeah, the main actor, I can't remember his name.
Rutger Hauer.
Rutger Hauer.
What's it?
Rutger Hauer?
Rutger Howard?
Rutger Hauer.
Yeah,
Rutger Hauer.
Okay, what's his character's name?
he's Nick Parker.
Nick.
I'm just gonna call him
that's
Nick
right.
Parker. Nick Parker,
It's
because I'm
called
not
Nick.
gonna remember the
That's
actor.
easier.
I'm so sorry. I'm
You're
not
good.
gonna remember.
You're good. Don't worry
But
about it.
I really I mean, it's a small thing, but I was like, oh, I admired like his dedication to like keeping his eyes up top. Like I don't know what it takes to
Right.
be a blind, to play someone blind, and I'm
Yeah.
not just saying you just have to look in another way. But I was like, I think he did a pretty good job in making it like I really thought he was blind, like
Yeah.
decently. Like I was like, oh yeah, like I really paid attention to like his eye movement, and it was just like okay, like again, I don't interact with a lot of blind
sold it.
people, but it was believable, like that performance, and
Yeah, it was.
and like so I was into it. I was into his performance for being a blind or a blind character. So
Interesting tidbit. He said this was actually one of his most difficult jobs because of the combination of swordplay and playing a blind man.
Yeah.
He spent a month training for this role.
I wonder if he was training with that guy in the beginning of the movie.
It
I
could
wonder
be.
if that was the stunt coordinator.
oh, that'd be so cool.
That'd be actually
yeah,
really
that'd
cool
be
to
so
find out.
sick. Yeah.
That would be a nice little tilt to the stunt coordinator too. It's like,
Can can we also give it up for Terry O'Quinn there? I mean, come on,
Terry
John
O'Quinn
Locke
Oh my
from
God.
from the Stepfather fame.
from Stepfather,
I don't know,
yeah.
look familiar.
Tombstone.
This is from the Stepfather.
Yeah.
Was he in Tombstone?
Yeah,
Terry
he
O'Quinn?
was in Tombstone too.
That's the best friend, right? The best friend.
Yeah.
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 Lost.
The father.
Lost, yeah, John Locke.
Oh,
He's
Lost.
lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not
No,
cultured
he
in
did a great
this.
job in that. I also loved Meg Foster, who played Miss Devereaux, who got killed in the beginning.
Rest in peace.
Wow, she,
Russ
She's
All
been
right, I didn't
familiar. I mean, have
She
I
was
seen
in
she
They Live.
did.
She
Yes.
Oh my
yes.
God.
They
She was
You're
also
right,
in
you're
Masters
right.
of the Universe as well.
Okay.
With
yeah.
those
Oh, okay.
piercing blue eyes of hers.
Yeah, dude,
Meg
right?
Foster.
Her eyes were like so
They're like a
intimidating.
cat's eyes.
Yeah.
You don't want to stare at them too long, otherwise you might get hypnotized.
Yeah.
I liked
No,
it.
she definitely captured the role of the mother very well,
Yeah.
especially the death part.
Oh my God.
That was a little okay. Can we talk about that for a second? Was it just me, or did that kind of just like she kept saying things to him? And it's like, lady, you've been shot. You sound like you're dying already.
She
Can
got
you just
shot with a
die?
shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, like usually in a movie, before they, the characters die, they gotta like tell them like, this is your mission. This is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
You're not gonna
exactly.
die, I mean, that's usually the case.
Take care
You
of
gotta get
my
out there
boy.
Take care of my son.
Otherwise it's not complete.
My boy.
Take care of my son. Find the killers that did this to me. Bring them to justice.
Avenge my death.
I'm trying to find the name of the main bad guy in the movie, the one that like
The guy
owned-
who
Wait, which one? The one with the
nicknamed
fucking
Tex.
cigarette, or like
No,
The
the,
cigar?
guy
The one with the sleeveless
casino
cowboy shirt?
guy. Yeah, the
Oh,
cowboy-ish
Wait,
guy.
which one?
Wait, isn't that
There's like
Nick?
two. I feel like there's like
I
the
feel like
herpes
that's
guy.
a
bunch of
famous
stars
actor.
in there.
Yeah.
There was,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
a lot of those.
Yeah, it was Nevada, so I guess they kind of had it. Well, let's get our country bumpkin villains as the henchmen for this one.
That makes
But I
sense.
remember the main villain guy was also the main villain in The Last Boy Scout. He played like the NFL owner
Right,
guy.
right. He looks
Oh
familiar.
My God, I remember now watching
You
The
remember?
Last Boy Scout. Oh,
Are you getting flashbacks?
that was like the first time I ever came to a movie night here.
Oh.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Considering with you said with henchmen, like this movie had a lot of bad guys. Like
It
they
really
got a lot of
did.
screen
it had
time.
too many bad guys. Almost,
Yeah,
to a
like
degree.
I get like you have your
Yeah.
henchmen that you kind of get more face time, but like in that scene where they're going up on that lift to like all of them
Yeah.
there, which like I was like, damn, there's all these people after these like
Yeah.
two men. Like it's just like that's
You had
extreme,
the
but
cigar chomping guy, and then you had like the really fat guy.
yeah,
And then you had the main big bad guy, and then he brought in that Japanese guy towards the end to fight him.
Right, right.
I paid a lot of money
And then
to
there was
see
those
this.
two brother hillbilly guys who shot each other.
and
Dude,
then
they were great.
those
They were-
Yeah, they were. They.
Yeah.
Let's give a nod to them.
They
Yeah,
were
we
great.
can give a nod
They
to
were
that
great.
for sure.
Shit, fuck.
next Halloween costume, I think I found it. Like
Oh.
Hey.
I mean, shit.
So just to explain what happened, and this is probably one of the best scenes in the film.
Right.
And this is
It literally
one
is.
of the henchmen shoots the other guy, and they're both hillbilly guys, by accident. And he gets pissed off because he shot him by accident, so he shoots him
him in the
back
fucking head.
instead of letting him kill the blind guy, Nick.
and it's a direct headshot.
It is.
It's a
headshot.
direct
Headshot.
instant kill, and but they
Like,
both
wow.
died at the same exact time.
Right.
Like,
I think it was a
Very
Romeo and
convenient.
Juliet sort of thing. Like he just didn't want to live without him, so
Yeah.
like he's like, if you're going,
It works.
You
I'd
gotta
like
be
to.
together.
Okay, I can see that. I can
Okay.
see
Yeah.
that.
That's
Like
cute.
you've been my hench brother this whole time.
It's
They
romantic
could
in
have,
a
like,
way.
a little, like,
It's
suicide
like Pineapple
like the
Express.
Heathers.
Yeah.
It's like Pineapple Express.
Exactly.
yeah.
I kind of wish they do like now
Or
like
if
a
you wanna
mini
get
series
real
of
nerdy,
just like
it's
those
more
two.
like
If you could bring
Venture
those characters
Brothers
back to
between
life,
21 and
which I don't know how
24.
maybe they'll be dead, maybe they
Yeah.
might be alive still, but just bring those two characters back and do like a side story with them. Because like seeing how they are in the movie, like how ridiculous and them just drinking and driving, and when one of the guys was like suck my finger when it's like bloody,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
The girl,
what kind
yeah.
of
Yeah,
life,
that-
what
that-
kind of
that's
life
the-
are they living? Like I want to know.
like,
Wow.
That's
Okay,
kind of the
but, like,
closest like sexual content we got in that whole entire film, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
It
like I just
was.
want to suck your. I want you to suck my bloody thumb and
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
I'm
that
just
was
like-
so spicy. I'm totally kidding, by the way. That was disgusting. But can we discuss the grandma that like whipped out her fucking pistol though?
Ooh.
Now
Oh,
that
yes.
was
Thank you for
great.
reminding
We
us
can
about
talk
that.
about
They
this.
carjacked two grandmas in a car. These two henchmen, which are actually the Pike brothers.
The
Those two guys-
Pike brothers.
The Pike
okay,
brothers.
yeah, that's
So they carjacked two old ladies in order to chase after Nick.
Right.
And after they start driving off, what happens?
Dude, like this little bitch, she whips out a fat ass pistol and then she just shoots right at the freaking brothers, and it's great. Unfortunately, she misses though. But
Unfortunately, she hit the back window of
She
the car.
did
though.
hit the fucking window, and that was amazing.
Is that just like a normal thing for everybody to just hit the back window? Because like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in that much of a hurry to pull a gun out of a purse and try to whip that big old pistol
It was a
and
dirty,
aim
dirty
it,
pistol.
are you really gonna hit the back of that car?
I mean, shit. She got
She
She
knew what
did
she was
pretty
doing.
good,
She went
you
to the
gotta
shooting
admit.
range, you know,
She knew
Yeah,
what she was
she knew.
doing. Yeah, like
She knew.
they were in Florida. Were they in Florida at the time, or were they in?
know.
I think they
were
were still in
Reno
Florida.
still?
They're
You know,
still-
that's
Either way, it would have made sense.
You know, that's the
Bunch
other
of
thing with the film is like the setting kind of like you can't really tell. They go from Florida to Las Vegas to like Reno. It's like
Yeah.
it just they're just
Weren't they in
traveling.
Alabama?
Jumps a
They
little
stopped
bit.
in Alabama.
They were in
Yeah,
Alabama.
so
They
they-
passed
they
through
go to-
Alabama.
through
You're not leaving
Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it just drifts from setting to setting. That's
Kinda
one
did.
thing I could say that maybe could be a little jarring for a lot of people
Yeah.
or average viewers.
Yeah, it was a little
Yeah.
like, wait, where are they again? Oh, okay.
Where
they're-
they?
yeah.
were-
I
yeah.
like, okay, yeah, they're in Reno.
It did feel a little one note at times. It felt like there could have been a little bit more story or just a little bit more going on. Like, you know, they hop on the bus and then they get to Reno and it's like, okay, we're almost at the climax, the final shootout, you know.
Oh, I guess what could have this is like maybe I guess it's a critique is when we spend more time like I guess maybe going back to the kid and like his performance and making it that relationship more like better was seeing them interact more like maybe
Yeah.
having more times of them laughing and,
Sure.
or something and it would have made like the kid say don't leave me or like crying for Nick like more impactful like the kid
Mhm.
maybe wouldn't have his performance would have been more believable if they had in those like moments of just like connection because like you believe they connected but it wasn't really translated well.
Right.
So yeah, those moments of just like connection would have
That would have helped the
definitely
movie out a lot more.
a lot more.
Totally.
So
And more flying severed hands would have
Yeah,
been a lot
yeah.
better too.
oh my god, yeah.
Those two
Blood
things.
effects.
Better. More blood effects too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
love
we all
blood.
agree. Those three things could have made the movie a lot better. As a makeup artist, Amanda, do you feel like they could have been more blood?
Absolutely, hell yeah, I fucking love blood.
She agrees.
And for the amount of everything that was happening, there should have been more blood. To
Absolutely.
be
Yeah, I mean,
honest.
He's
it was
slashing
R-rated,
people here and
yeah.
there,
Yeah,
and it's
like going back to what Vicky said on the whole like getting his neck slashed and then immediately covering it. There was no time for a scar. They didn't have a budget for
Yeah.
that. They immediately just went for that because they didn't have the money for the blood or any of that. So, but if they had it, that would have been fucking badass.
come on, guys, you guys could have
Yeah.
made a classic here if only you had a little bit more blood.
I think so, right? I mean, I think it's a missed opportunity, and I mean, it's not. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but I mean, there's so many little ounces of greatness in it. Like, I mean, if they gone the full way, I mean, it would have been really great. Yeah, it would be well regarded, I guess. Like more people would be talking about it nowadays.
Yeah, I feel like it would be more of like a cult
Yeah.
classic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think Kill Bill. I mean, yeah, hands down. I mean, they knew what they had right there. We're have samurai movie. We're gonna have all the blood effects and all this crazy
Right.
ass stuff with it.
Mhm.
Right.
I mean, that movie knows it's cheesy also, but I mean, it takes full advantage of its cheesiness and stuff. Whereas this movie's like, I mean, well, we're not gonna go all the way. We're just gonna, just take a little couple of inches and not full steps with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I never really heard about this movie before until I looked it up after Rutger Hauer died recently. He passed away in 2019 on
Recently.
July 19th. Yeah,
Yeah,
Really
it was
recent.
pretty
July
recent.
19th he passed away.
okay, so in the very beginning of the movie, when we find Nick and he's he's losing his eyesight, he's going through the water, and then he goes with the Vietnamese people, and he ages backwards. Like I mean, like
Oh,
his
the
beard-
age
gets
thing.
younger.
Like,
Yes,
he,
we
like-
talked about that.
It's the thing when we watched the movie. I commented. I was
Yeah.
like, it looks weird because he looks like I get he has a beard and everything, but it's like white, it's blonde, and then he's already kind of an older gentleman to begin with, and it goes 20 years later, and he's roughly still the same. And I get it, it's a movie, whatever. We don't critique it too much, but I'm like, what? It just seemed weird, and also just seemed
Yeah.
those Vietnamese people were really friendly. I made that comment when we were watching
They
that
were
movie.
Yes.
So
We
friendly.
were talking about
I-
that.
To a man that
So
just
friendly.
bombed their
Could
whole
not give
country.
a fuck.
They were so caring, and they trained him. They basically created a soldier.
Right?
It's like we should thank them because they gave us a hero.
They're like, no, stay here and help us fight the Americans. Don't go back to America.
Yeah, they made it very. It made it seem like they had such a simple life there too, because that montage of them just living their normal lives, it seemed like, wait a minute, why would they be worried about training this guy in the ways of a samurai when all they care about is, farming their rice there and living their normal lives? So it's kind of odd that this one trainer is just like the one dude in the whole village of all these people who are just, hey, we're just tending the rice paddies.
Yeah. They could have explained that more, like why
Yeah, why
they
is-
decided to help take care of them, or maybe he begged them, or something just to justify them being so kind to him.
I mean, I might be reading too much in it in a way, but I mean, I think the whole point was maybe that just to necessarily show, like, I mean, the Vietnam War was not necessarily us against them. Like, it wasn't necessarily a war where, like, the people themselves were the villains, but, I mean, the pedestrians, I mean, whoever they are, I mean, they were still innocent bystanders in the war in a way, and they were still willing to help out in someone, even if they were considered the quote-unquote enemy of the war. At least that's what I thought. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm reading too much into it.
Wow.
No, yeah.
It's an action
Exactly.
samurai comedy, Jesus.
Yeah.
Calm
Like
down.
the villagers, I mean, yeah.
That was amazing.
Well, I mean, I was just thinking about that Full Metal Jacket scene where they're like, talking about like how can you shoot women and children, and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm reading too much into it now.
Wow.
Maybe you
It's just a
aren't.
comedy
Maybe
film.
it's a
Well, it's a
Maybe that's
comedy
what it is,
action,
though.
but it
Comedy
also
action,
brings
yeah.
in the idea of the crime story, because the one thing I've always liked in a crime story is like they throw it into everything. The casino scenes, like back then, even in the 80s, looked pretty accurate to what like Las Vegas looked like at the time, and
Yeah.
filming back then was hard to get in on that level. So honestly, for them to pull that kind of production value for those scenes, I got to give them credit for that. You
Yeah.
know?
On the Reno street scene where they're going right past, the
Right,
sign,
right.
or he's driving. Yeah, no, that must have cost.
No, there's minimal dialogue that actually rings true, like the scene where where they're talking about like, look at everybody on the street. They're all walking to Harris. They're all going down this way. They're all going away from us. Like when the mob boss is talking to his henchmen like that. For some reason, just like stuck with me because it's true. Because like they want to bring more people to their casino. They want to bring more money into them.
Right.
It's just the idea of that crime like theme that like played up very well in the movie that I think is worth noting as well.
Yeah, because that was the crime boss. Was this whole casino
Right.
magistrate guy who was evil and maybe connected to the mob? We don't know, but he was a bad guy.
Wait, do they explain what the blue stuff is? I guess in the movie, like the blue
That was the
crystal
other
meth?
thing.
Did-
Designer
Yeah, that wasn't
drug?
really clear. It was,
Yeah.
I assume it was
Yeah.
crystal meth just because it was blue.
Right.
But then it's just like, just bring the stuff in. And
This
it's
is
like,
like
what?
pre-Breaking Bad.
They
here.
didn't mention it was drugs. They didn't mention it was like some sort of bomb chemical.
Right.
I think it was drugs because they were gonna test it on some mice.
Yeah.
And they were like, hold on,
Oh,
this
That makes
shit's
sense.
too, if this shit's too
right.
hot, it might kill someone, is what
Right.
he does say.
Yeah. And they did have
That would've
that.
helped if
They
they
did have
explained
that guy, which is also kind of like another buyer who was younger. The guy, those two guys. Like,
Yeah, the guy with the mullet, right?
What
Yeah.
even was that?
That was so.
I was like, they threw him in a shot, and I'm like, wait a minute, who is he? Where did he come
Yeah.
from?
Yeah.
I think they cut out a lot of scenes out of this movie that kind of tied it together a little bit.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really fast film. Yeah, there was a couple of stuff. It felt like it was missing some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. If they had another like 10 minutes in it to help explain some of it, I think it would have been a lot better.
Yeah, because like the guy who they were selling it to, which is kind of thrown into. I thought like the guy at the head of the casino was like the one dealing the drugs. He was gonna go to like another
Right.
vendor
Yeah.
to sell the drugs. It just kind of seemed like what he like that guy. I can't remember the character's name, but the head honcho basically was like the one kind of running the show. He was the main
Right.
villain. Why would he need someone else to deal it for him if he has all
McCready.
the power? And he's in the casino, so you can smuggle
McCready.
drugs in the casino. You know what I mean? It's like.
Yeah.
So that was like a weird thing, and it was kind of thrown in there with like really no context.
Like, oh, and he's a drug dealer guy too. He's not only hanging people off buildings, but he also sells drugs. So, bad guy. So Siskel and Ebert actually reviewed this movie when it first came out.
All right, give us the rundown.
And You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and play the clip.
Blind Fury is sort of an updated American version of those Japanese blind swordsman karate pictures of 15 or 20 years ago, which my favorite, and probably yours, was Blind Swordswoman of Doom. I'm sure you remember that picture. With the guy that had the hat that came off and whirled through the air with all the knives in it. Blind swordswoman was able to stand up to it.
As long as you're engaging me, you called him the Johnny Appleseed of the blind. That
Yes.
suggests that he's going around planting glaucoma around the planet.
No, he has his knapsack on his back and he's walking down the side of the highway. Kind of like the Happy Hobo or something.
That's
happy
better.
Hobo.
That's better.
Okay, I'll keep you happy. It works anyway on the level of the Blind Swordswoman pictures, whatever level that is, as an action film where the hero's blindness gives a new twist to every scene. And it works also on the level of low-key and low-end action humor, too. He's got that ear and he can hear everything that's going on. I mean, all these villains have to do is carry around a portable radio with them, and he's out of business. But like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rutger Hauer is able to sleep in a little sardonic wit into the mixture, and the result is not a great movie, but it is a competent entertainment. I was not overwhelmed, but in a silly way, I enjoyed myself.
And I had the same reaction. I think that it could even, they set it up for a sequel.
Yeah.
And I think they could even make it a better picture. But there are moments there when on the sort of the goofy level of this character, and you're sitting around wondering what he can hear, what he knows, what he doesn't know. In the beginning, some of it doesn't make all the logical sense that he's able to know so much, and you could throw him off just by coughing and running around and making sounds and all that. But as a light entertainment, I enjoyed it too.
And I thought it was really clever the way he was able to cut that cantaloupe into 4 neat sections, even though he couldn't see it.
Great for room service ideas.
So, yeah.
So wait. If it wasn't a cantaloupe and they went with a melon, do you think he would have been able to cut it into 4 pieces or just straight in half?
I don't think they had melons over there, so they probably would just had to stick with cantaloupes.
I think that's the best way to go.
And
Cantaloupe.
melons are too damn
Cantaloupes
heavy.
the type of melon anyways? Or am I
know
being
what?
stupid right now?
I'm a cinema expert, not a
melon expert.
Not a melanologist.
I mean, if we're bringing in
I'm a
melons
Dr.
into this,
Jim,
like,
not a
don't
scientist.
separate them, you know? Like, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Good point.
One thing that those critics mentioned about that you can just throw sounds at him, Nick, and throw him off. They did do that, which I appreciate. They did have that moment where he's in that auditorium. And is it the auditorium with the instruments, and then he's hearing his own breathing, and I actually really enjoyed that because it threw him off because you could tell he was scared right after also realizing his buddy had just left him like he did in the war, and that's the reason why he was blind. So actually I really liked that scene. That was actually really good because he was just you could tell he was struggling and going over all the instruments and hearing the he tapped on what's it called, that drum. That last, with the foot pedal for that last drum.
We're not music experts.
He hits something on the drum, and because his hand touches it as he's crawling through trying to be quiet. Yeah. And it leads to the breathing into the microphone, and it's echoing in the stereo.
Right.
And then he's freaking out because he hears it, and he's trying to be quiet.
He's trying to turn the mic off.
Yeah, I like that because he's pretty much well composed throughout the whole movie, except for that one moment.
He gets nervous.
Yeah, he's flipping out, and I really liked that. Actually, looking back on it, I was like, ooh, that was good because he throws him off. Because he's otherwise well composed. He's like, I got this, But that was the one time in the whole movie where he's like, oh fuck, maybe I don't got this.
Yeah, and then he stands up.
Oh my god!
And then he's surrounded by all the guys.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Welcome to my world."
Yeah.
When it turns all to darkness.
See, it has good moments. That's the thing.
It does.
That's the thing. I enjoyed it. It was good. Yeah, it's for its time, but it was good. I enjoyed it.
The one thing though I have to admit though with that is as much as he seems very in control of himself and very in control of his environment, it didn't seem that way at the beginning. It seemed like he was still kind of trying to find his way, even though he'd been trained and living this lifestyle for over 20 years. It seems like he was still in the beginning in the opening bar scene where he fights those guys. It almost seemed and I think maybe he was just playing it off as coy, just like Siskel and Ebert said, his wittiness, his charm to his character. That's the idea. Is even in that scene in the beginning where those guys are picking on him, he picks on them right back.
Right.
It's just you can see that he's accepting of his condition right away. So, but at the same time, you kind of question it because you're like, wait a minute. haven't you been doing this for 20 years? Don't you think you can hear everything? You can taste everything? I think I mentioned to you, Jesus, about like the rock scene where the kid gives him the rock.
Yeah.
It's like, don't you think your senses would have been heightened to the point where you wouldn't even crunch down on the rock?
Right.
You know, not to mention.
Broken his teeth.
Yeah, that's another thing. The teeth.
It sounded like he broke it open or something.
It sounded like he cracked it, so it's like, how strong are your fucking teeth, dude?
But, okay, but regarding with that scene, like, cause you know how he can like kind of predict things, like here. What if like he knew the kid picked up a rock?
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, I'm just gonna play along with this kid, cause he spit it back in the
I think
kid's
that's what he
face.
was doing.
I think that's what he was going with there.
Same thing when they put
especially when he
the-
spits it back at him.
Yeah.
Same thing when they put the hot sauce on his burrito. I
Right.
felt like he would have been able to smell that he was about to put the hotter sauce on.
Yeah.
Right.
He's just kind of playing along with it. Okay, yeah, I'm blind, I'm done. What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Okay, now these guys are gonna get their comeuppance.
I mean, it's whatever makes his life interesting at this point. He's been like this for 20 years. If he wants to have some fun, he might as well entertain these assholes.
Yeah,
C'est la vie.
exactly.
C'est la vie.
Damn, I think you guys are like changing my opinion on this movie now.
Ooh, Amanda likes it now.
I
Hold
know,
on.
right?
So, let's go ahead and do a rating on this one. Let's call it samurai swords.
Samurai
out of
swords.
5 samurai
Ooh.
swords, how many would you give
Samurai sword slash.
Blind Fury?
You better add
Slash
that. Like after we
shades.
give our rating, be like 5 samurai swords. You better hear a slash after that.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
I love it.
welcome.
I'm gonna find
You're
it.
fucking welcome.
I'll send this to you to edit afterwards. She's like, "Fuck no,
I
I'm
know.
not
I'm
doing
like,
that.
fuck.
Not gonna
I'm
happen."
just gonna remove my audio only.
Just gonna delete my number. Hey Zeus, how many samurai swords out of 5 would you give Blind Fury?
2.5 samurai swords.
2.5.
Yeah.
2.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still, I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, I
course.
like it for what it is.
For
I
what
mean,
it is,
it's
yeah.
cheesy entertainment. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to save the higher up samurai swords for the most important ones.
Yeah. Kill Bill's a easy 5.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with what Roger Ebert and Siskel said. That
What the
I mean,
homies
it is
said.
goofy. I mean, it's embraces its goofiness.
It's goofy
and stuff.
fun.
Goofy
it's
fun,
goofy
yes.
fun. You don't go in there expecting, to get change. You just go in there for a nice little
I
light
mean, I might say
entertainment.
even 3. I think. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you better bump that up.
Yeah, I'll
Bump it
do
up.
3. I'll
There
do
you go.
3,
He's
yeah.
going 3 on
There
it.
you go,
He's going
3.
3 on it.
He's
folks.
too
means, I mean,
lazy
it's
to type
good.
like a 2.5. That's what it is.
The more you talk about this film, the more you grow to love it.
You really do. Yeah.
Brian, it's on,
Oh.
it's on you now. Let's
It's
talk.
on
Let's
me.
let's
It's
talk
on me.
swords over here.
Let's talk swords. Well, okay, I will say this about it. It does follow that linear storyline that hey, listen, I have a problem and I need this hero to come out of his shell, come out of his world.
It's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry with the story. I can agree with that. That's what adds to me saying that I would give it probably a solid 2 swords.
Solid.
Solid 2 swords for that. But I would make it a 3rd sword only because, yes, Rutger Hauer did carry it forward with his character. And he did bring that wittiness and charm, like I said in the beginning there. And he carried it on towards the end, even in that scene that we were just talking about where, it's dark. Now you know what my world's like. Same thing. So I would say overall 3 swords.
If it wasn't for Rutger Hauer, I don't think this movie would have been half as good.
No.
Absolutely not.
He really brings it on this one. R.I.P.
Rutger Hauer.
Amanda, I know you may have started out with lower swords on this one, in your opinion. But
I was
think
planning 1 sword and that was it.
You
but
were.
You know what?
Where are we looking at now?
I don't know. I wanted to give it a 2.5, but I'm kind of leaning closer to a 3 as well. Well, my thing is that it does contain all that like witty, funny little parts, and I do appreciate those. I do appreciate like the craziness of having like a woman wielding a fucking big ass Tarantino gun, or
Gotta love
having like a blind man drive and a kid like guiding him. I love all those things
Classic.
about it, and
That
I think
was
that's what
classic.
makes me be like, you know what? I wouldn't mind like getting stoned and watching this again.
There you go.
Yeah.
See?
So I'll give it overall a 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5 samurai swords.
3 out of 5 samurai
Can
swords.
I just say one thing? I don't
praise.
need to be stoned to enjoy it for the 3 out of 5 samurai swords. It was good enough in that sense.
but it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt.
That's probably why I'm giving it the 3 out of 5.
So we're gonna we know where we're at now, Vicky.
Yes.
Vicky, let's talk swords.
From the get go, I'm gonna say, because I am an average achiever, it's 3 samurai swords, because like
Right.
it's fun. Like watching it the first time, you're in it, you're having a good time, and to me, out of everything, like that's That's the most important part of a movie. If you can sit down and enjoy it and not be like, when's this gonna end?
Right.
You're in. Like that's a sword for me.
Yeah.
And then talking about it more and be like, seeing it from other things, like when Brian really broke it down, because he's the real film critic here. Like being all philosophical. I'm like, I really like this. It's like, damn. Like I wish I could go back and take I'll take his answers. Like I want those to be my answers.
Professor Suma in the building.
Really was like, it did hit those marks. So it's definitely definitely the 3. Because there's things that could have been better, but it was definitely solid, and I would recommend it, and I would watch it again because it's a good time.
Totally.
Good time, and just the main actor really was a good job. I liked him. Now I should watch his other stuff because I did like him in this one. Yeah. So
I haven't seen much of his other stuff other than The Hitcher. I would definitely recommend The Hitcher.
Okay. Yeah, The Hitcher. That when we were watching the trailers, Nighthawks, that looked pretty good.
Nighthawks was great
Survival
too.
Run.
Sylvester Stallone, Billy D. Williams.
Right.
Yeah.
Survival Run's the other one with him in it. And I kind of want to watch Survival Run.
Yeah, I think he started off working in Holland with director Paul Verhoeven, who later did RoboCop. I think he worked on a lot of films with him.
Oh, cool.
So there was a movie.
Is RoboCop the movie where like they have all the dicks get shot off at the end? I'm dead serious.
I think that's among the
I'm
mistletoe.
dead serious. No, shut up. Shameless plug.
Coming soon.
No, because it was my job where I work at to blur all of the dicks because we were doing Cops Try Not to Laugh challenge.
Really?
I'm not kidding. Yeah.
I don't think did they shoot dicks off in the first RoboCop?
It was a deleted. It's a deleted scene, is what it is apparently. Because like he shoots like the dick off of like a rapist.
Yes.
And then from there, I guess he like goes haywire.
They
and then
did
just
pull that scene.
You're right.
It's in the 25th anniversary edition of the
I had
DVD.
to blur I don't know how many dicks.
Wow.
Because I was so pressed. I was like, I'm tired of this.
Okay, so add that to her entry, blur of dicks.
Blur of dicks.
Okay, add that on.
I'm a blur of dicks.
She makes a mean severed one too.
Yeah.
FYI.
Hit
just
me
so
up,
you know.
guys.
Hit her up if you need a severed dick.
Yeah.
I think I have to agree. 3 Samurai Swords. I really enjoyed it for everything that you guys said and more. Rutger Hauer really brought it in. A lot of great 80s actors. I loved Terry O'Quinn, Meg Foster. The Tex guy was fantastic. She's got that 80s charm oozing out of it. I would recommend it, especially if you're a fan of Rutger Hauer.
Right.
Rutger Hauer. Like, as Siskel and Ebert said, I think they had a great foundation here. Honestly, had they gone on to do other films, I think they could have done they could have explored it a bit.
This could have been a whole franchise.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In a way, like First Blood, right? You watch First Blood, and it's very, very good movie, but then you see where it goes. Like, it goes to First Blood Part 2, which I actually like. Those are guilty pleasures also, but they take the character Rambo and do more with him than we expected. So
it could have went really over the top.
They could have definitely,
It could have been like Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
It could have, yeah.
Hell, this could have been like what was that one movie? Like Highlander. Seriously, in a way.
Man, yeah.
That's true.
Highlander, yeah.
That's true.
The
Blind
Highlander
Fury 2,
franchise,
Blind
yes.
Fury 3. And it could have just spun off into a whole bunch of mediocre sequels. So who knows? Who knows which would have been better?
What could have been? Yeah.
But at least we still have this film. So
the
let's
same
just
thing
be
happened
thankful.
with The Crow.
Right.
It's a great testament to
True.
the actor himself. When you watch that one scene on Blade Runner where he has that monologue before, obviously before he dies, and you see what he does here.
I knew this was going to come up eventually.
Of course.
Well, of course, no, that's what everybody remembers.
The Roy Beatty conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody remembers that last dialogue he has in Blade Runner. That's kind of what solidified himself in a lot of sci-fi people.
Cinematic history.
Yeah, exactly, in a way, yeah. And I think it really shows that this is a guy who had a lot of range. He could do like this really complex philosophical dialogue in Blade Runner right before he dies. And he could do this really crazy action, cheesy film here also.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely have variety.
Yeah.
So I would like to thank all my guests for being on the show today.
Yeah.
Jesus, thank you for being here, sir. Appreciate you helping out with the audio on today's episode.
Well, thank you.
Do you have any projects coming up that you want to plug?
Yeah, the Frank Yola music video that we're going to do in September, man.
Frank Yola, who's that?
Oh, this rapper guy.
Dude, I fucking love listening to Frank Yola.
Is he
my
dope?
God, he's the best.
Yeah. Oh, he is.
I see him going places.
He's blowing up, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's all over the place.
Wow. So if you guys want to check out Frank Yola, go Google that guy. He's doing big things.
He's on there.
Spotify
You
right
can
now.
literally just find it on Spotify. Shit's fire. Promise.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to directing that. So yeah.
Ooh, very nice. We'll be looking forward to seeing that music video coming out soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Brian.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on The Guest. This
Hey,
is your
thank
first
you.
appearance.
You know
I
what?
hope we see you on many other episodes
Hey,
to come.
anytime you have me, and in fact, I got a little something for you that
Get
our
outta here.
guests probably won't get to see, but you can definitely
Oh my gosh.
enjoy letting people know.
Maybe I could
that,
take a picture of it and put it up on the Facebook page or something.
Now, I know you're a big horror fan, and I'm.
Is it a samurai sword?
No, but
My
I
heart's
am
racing
a
for
comic
Jeremy.
book fan, and
What?
I seriously saw these, and I was like, you know what? I think I know the perfect person for these.
I've been getting.
What is it?
Oh shit.
Oh, she got me some comics. Sean.
Got you a couple cool books.
That's Ash's Evil
Ash
Dead?
vs.
Versus
the Evil Dead.
And
The
Ash
Army of
vs. the Evil
Darkness.
And Pumpkinhead.
And Pumpkinhead.
Wow.
Oh my God, Ash looks
This
like
is
a
love.
snack.
This is
Can we
love right
discuss
here.
that?
On the next episode,
Bruce Campbell's always been a snack.
Cinephobia. Why Ash is a snack.
I mean, at this point, he's
You
a
know,
whole
that's
meal.
definitely one you gotta do a show on as the Army of Darkness.
This
I mean,
is
it's
beautiful.
such a
Yes.
good movie.
Evil Dead podcast coming soon. Thank you so much for the gift.
Hey,
Brian.
you know what? Thank you for having me on, man. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you. And where's the rest of my gifts at? Jesus, did you bring me a gift? Amanda, Vicky?
Bitch, I brought seltzer and fucking chips.
That's facts. She didn't
Hey,
bring the gifts.
yeah, she did. She brought the snacks. So
They always bring the goods. Just the personalities are good enough. Thank you, Amanda, for being here. If another first-time guest on the episode, which I hope will be back for many more times to come. Hopefully
yeah.
for
Depends.
films which maybe you like a little bit more. But
You mean
know,
like
even though
Heathers or
this
The
one-
Crow?
Yes,
I'm pushing for
Heathers.
those. Please, Heathers.
Jesus is
Heathers.
pushing hard for Heathers too.
See,
So
catch our next episode, Heathers.
I'm gonna have you do deep research on it.
Oh,
so you
please.
That's a good
I can
one.
I can give you
I've
that
done so
right
much
now.
You're gonna co-host this
Heathers
one.
is on Shudder. Just
And
FYI.
on Netflix.
And on Netflix.
It's on
Let's get
Netflix
that plug.
We did
too.
see it as a movie night. I remember.
We did.
I haven't
We
seen
did
that
watch
movie.
it once as a new night.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time, so it'd be nice to take another look at it with
Okay.
my new film eyes.
When did we,
Never
when did we
seen
watch
it
it last?
myself,
Was
but
it?
I'd love
Was
to
it
see
like a year ago that we watched it?
No,
or-
it was actually a few months ago.
It was a few months
It was
ago?
literally
Ah.
after one of your films wrapped.
Yeah.
And I remember because you only gave me one movie, because I found out because Rick called me and he's like, so what's your other movie that you chose? And I'm like, I get to choose another movie? And he's like, oh, Jeremy must have chose it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I did not choose another movie.
Yeah, you did.
What was the other?
I don't remember what the movie was. I left
Heather.
after Heathers.
Oh. What did I pair Heathers with?
You paired it with something that Christian Slater was in.
It was probably something really bad.
Yeah,
It was, and
it
I
can't
didn't
be
wanna
very
watch
bad
it.
things, and it cannot be
No, it was something very
like
80s.
Broken Arrow.
Yeah.
Definitely not Broken Arrow.
No.
I do not remember. For
I
the
don't
life of
remember
me.
either, but I
The
know
real
that
question
because,
is,
I remember
what was
Rick
the
told
other
me and he
film
started
that
laughing
he
at me.
suggested?
Oh my
And it was the
Besides
funniest thing
Heathers.
ever.
That's
Oh,
what we want to
If you were to pair Heathers with something, what would you pair it with?
Oh
Had
my
to be another
God.
black comedy, like some
Yeah.
Teen
Yeah.
to the Extreme, like that.
Or a film by the same director? I don't know. who
Honestly,
directed it,
I
but-
wanna.
or Winona
I
Ryder
wouldn't be
movie.
able to choose another one. I would rather give that to
Beetlejuice,
Jesus. Yeah, I would. I would
It
love
would
to
be
see
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice
It would have to
afterwards.
be Beetlejuice.
I
right?
was thinking that. Yeah.
I love Beetlejuice.
But yeah, well, I mean, we already have 3 people who agree that Heather should be our next podcast.
I mean, there you
so
go.
Oh my
Just
god.
throwing that out there, man.
Do we have to watch the movie before we do the cast about it?
No, we already seen. I mean,
We already seen it.
I'll just watch it
Should we
individually.
just
I'll just watch it by
transition
myself.
now
No, no.
from this
if we can
episode?
do that, then I would be down.
Sorry, what?
If we can do that, then I would be down. If we don't have to sit and watch it again,
I mean, we
because we
don't.
just watched it recently,
yeah.
and I'm
That's
it's still
fucking
very
rude, but
fresh
okay,
in my
that's
mind.
fine.
It's still very fresh.
That's completely
We can
fine.
watch the TV show Heathers.
No, that was
No.
really bad.
Oh,
I also
God,
watched
there
the
was a
musical.
TV
The musical was actually really good. My friend was in it. Shameless plug, Bianca Shoot.
Hey.
But she killed it. But that whole play was really interesting. Like, it gave more of a backside to the bullying and all that stuff. And I don't know. It makes everything more uncomfortable, and you realize how much more toxic JD and Veronica's relationship is. And this became a podcast on Heathers suddenly. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, I
We have
think
to save
definitely.
this
I
for the
mean,
next
there is a
one.
lot
We
that
gotta
could be
save
discussed right
this.
there. I mean, it definitely is a movie that could not be made today. I
No,
honestly don't
absolutely
think so.
not.
Yeah.
Special preview of next podcast episode about
All right.
Heathers.
It's set in stone. We're gonna do this.
Oh my
We're
gosh.
doing
Here we go.
this.
Did not expect it, but
It's
gonna happen.
happening, folks.
Did you have any projects that you want to plug, Amanda?
Yikes. I don't think I have any projects, but if you guys need any makeup done, hit me up.
She's
Or
a
if you
dope
guys have
makeup
any
artist.
videos that need to be put together,
She's a great
or if you guys
editor.
want to, check out some
need blood.
stupid YouTube videos, please check them out. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. All right.
So I'd like to thank all our guests for coming on today. Jesus, Brian.
Thank
Amanda,
you.
Vicky, you guys are all awesome. Thank you for coming over and watching this 1989 classic.
Blind Fury.
It
was good.
Yeah. Blind Fury.
I'd like to thank all my guests for being on the show today. Make sure to check out Brian Gobuty's website and podcast at mycomicuniverse.com. And hit him up for all your production sound needs at briangobutysoundservices.com. We'll catch you mutants on the next episode of the Cinephobia podcast. Until then, stay cheesy. And remember, next time you come across a blind man, don't fool with him. He may just be a samurai action hero. I've been your host, JP, and don't forget, as always, there's nothing to fear but film itself.